And if you want to post it whenever you see it in Discord.
I do not have access to my Discord on this.
Oh, well, then that'll be a problem. I'll do it. I'll go ahead and start. All right, welcome back to another episode of Phoenix Edge. This is an RPG and gaming news podcast. My name is Hat.
And I'm Eric.
And today we are going to be talking about the recent controversy surrounding Soulja Boy and his various game consoles that he's going to be releasing, or wanted to be releasing anyways. And then also there was a leak this month from Kingdom Hearts 3. Somebody actually got copies of the game itself and they were selling them. And so there's been a lot of talk about that. And then the PlayStation Classic, they've had a huge price cut and the game console has only been out a few weeks. So people are kind of upset about that. So we're anxious to talk about it. And then also Lost Odyssey, it looks like Microsoft has renewed a couple of trademarks regarding or surrounding the Lost Odyssey game. So that's exciting if anything's going to come of that. So we're going to get into all that and more. Before we continue on, obviously we're live streaming this right now. This is our first time live streaming our podcast. So let us all know how it goes. If everything looks good to go on your end when you're watching it, just let us know in the comments. We really appreciate that feedback. And maybe we'll start doing this on a more semi-regular basis and see if you guys enjoy talking with us that way. But before we move on with the podcast, Eric, how was your holidays? What have you been playing over this break?
I feel like the holidays were a little too good to me.
Really?
I mean, I got a new Samsung 4K TV for Christmas, and I got a PS4 Pro to complement it. And then a couple games with it. Got Spider-Man with it, which I actually just recently beat. That was a really good game.
Mm-hmm.
Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Soul Calibur 6. Those were a couple of the PS4 games I got with it. And I did a little shopping, browsing also. And I saw a deal for like Starlink for the Switch. That came with the R-Wing model, everything. It's like it was usually $75, but Amazon had it for $30 on sale.
Oh wow!
So I was like, you know what? Even if the game may not be good, I want that R-Wing model. To put it on there. I wonder if I have it behind me. Yeah, see right there, where my thumb is. Yeah,
Awesome.
Right there. But I tried out a little bit. It's okay so far.
Mm-hmm.
But something cool my fiance got me for Christmas, and I actually have it right here to show. I mean, people have heard me say it over and over again, that Zelda Link to the Past is my favorite game ever made, and I feel like I have to 100% in any way, shape, or form. And so she decided to get me this. It is a full Japanese copy of A Link to the Past, or as they call it in Japan, Triforce of the Gods. And it comes with the so this came with the box right here, and also came with everything that comes with it, like if you bought it for the first time in Japan. Instruction manual, of course, the game itself.
Oh wow!
And has a cool little thing in here. It has like a couple warnings, like warning, don't be an idiot and plug it in wrong. And it has descriptions of the items.
Yeah.
Right here. They're in Japanese, so I obviously can't read it, but and then controls in the back.
So did I'm sorry if you already said it. Did she get this on eBay or?
Yeah, it was on eBay.
Awesome.
I mean, everything's in great condition. I mean, it obviously has a little age to it because it's like almost 30 years old. But I mean, it's such in great condition. And as soon as I get access to composite again on my TV, which it doesn't come with, I got to get converter cables for it. I'm going to put 100% completion on that too. And
Awesome.
I mean, it's an awesome gift, and I love the old retro stuff like this. But overall, those were my big things. I've been just playing through various games around Christmas to hold me off till Kingdom Hearts 3 and Resident Evil 2 comes.
Mm-hmm.
But that's been my holiday.
You've been enjoying the PS4 Pro and the 4K television?
Oh yeah, I mean I can't go back to 1080 now. I mean, of course, on my Switch is the exception, but
what I didn't expect. Yeah, because I just recently got one too, and what I didn't expect was that, like even like my normal like PS4 games that were not really like made for the PS4 Pro, they still look better too. So I still get a little bit of a performance boost. So it was a better purchase than I thought it was going to be personally. So
yeah, I thought at first I wouldn't notice 4K too much, but like the inner nerd in me just sees it, especially like doing comparisons. Like I took my old TV's in my bedroom now, so it's just kind of looking, and I was like, oh man, it's like just especially the HDR. The HDR is really what makes it. Like the better resolution is one thing, but the HDR makes the colors so much better. Like I was testing on a couple PS4 games, and like Horizon Zero Dawn, it looks so much better with HDR enabled on it.
For sure. That's actually one of the games that I've been playing because now I've kind of had a little bit of a lull, and I can actually sit back and play some games I've been trying to get around to. I had already beaten that game a long time ago, but I've been wanting to dive into the DLC for that game. So I finally got a chance to get around to it, and I've been kind of messing with that a little bit. But in addition to that, I also I played Edge of Eternity. Finally on the PC. I actually uploaded some of that game footage the other day on here, so if y'all want to check that out. But yeah, man, I've just been going through my Steam catalog. I've been playing that. I've been playing Shadows of Adam, a little bit of Crosscode. So I've been having a versatile week, but it's been a lot of fun.
And that's good. It sounds like we've both been having a good holiday.
Yeah, man, absolutely. But let's go ahead and dive into this first topic here. Let me pull up my screen here.
I'm fixing something real quick.
It's all good. All right, so we were talking about this a little bit, but just because we missed last week, and we had some other news stories going on, but this thing's kind of taken over the internet with Soulja Boy. Yeah, he came out hot this month and said he was going to be releasing a couple of different consoles. One was going to be like a handheld, and then I think he had like a mid-range console, and then like a extreme like $500 console. And the thing is, these consoles, they basically were the same consoles that were being released from a Chinese company already, except they were like 2 or 3 times the cost. And he was making all sorts of promises, like they were going to have all these Nintendo games on there and all these PlayStation games on there, and all these Switch games on there, and like
Smash Bros for the Soulja Boy.
Yeah, just yeah, it's just like all these games that like he clearly does not have the license for, and he was getting so much hate online. And he was getting in these like little Twitter battles and saying like people just don't understand business. Like he's got all these contracts behind the scenes, and like people just need to calm down because he knows what he's doing. And then he finally said Nintendo isn't going to do anything. And then the next day he tweeted, "I had to boss up. I didn't have a choice." And now his current website redirects to the Nintendo main website. So that's apparently, I don't know if Nintendo owns his website now. I don't know, but they finally took action, it seems like. But like, I can't believe he actually thought he could do this.
It's like that Pikachu meme. It's like Nintendo ain't gonna do nothing about it. Then Nintendo does something about it. Then it's Pikachu face.
Yeah, it's just, but like, oh, and like the fact that he felt the need to call Nintendo out in a tweet, that was just stupid.
Well, first off, I've never heard of Soulja Boy until this was a thing. I mean, it goes to show how much I keep up with current day music. But I heard that like someone told me he hadn't been relevant since like 2007.
Yeah,
So,
I think he was like a one hit wonder. Like, I think his one song was like "Crank That" or something like that. I don't know. I don't listen to hip hop that much, but I think he only had like one or two hits.
yeah, so it leads me to for a little bit of theory crafting that I think this was all like a publicity stunt.
Hmm.
Like he intentionally did this, knowing what exactly would happen. Yeah, if you think about it, all right. So he comes out with something that's like blatantly a ripoff, and the internet is not stupid. I'm going to give this man the benefit of the doubt, and I'm going to think that he's not stupid enough to just simply try to trick people that can't be tricked that easily with this stuff. And I'm sure like his lawyers come in and they're like, do not do this. Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, any of them, they're going to go down your neck if
Yeah,
you try to sell this stuff.
Nintendo just sued two ROM sites for $12 million for having ROMs on their website, and he's trying to sell a console with these ROMs. Are like, this thing was going to have like Mario games, Zelda games, like no.
Yeah, so it leads me to believe that like, okay, we'll push this far enough to get enough attention to remember that I'm here, I'm in the industry still,
Mm-hmm.
and take it as far as you can without being sued by Nintendo, especially,
Mm-hmm.
and take it down because he's even making tweets, like active tweets back against people, calling them. Well, we can't repeat what he said. He said on here because YouTube would catch us on it, but I mean he says some really graphic stuff back to the gaming community, just to say the least. And the funny thing is, all those tweets got taken down almost immediately after they came up.
Yeah, I mean, clearly he realizes now he made a mistake, I would assume, unless he is doing, like you said, trying to get a little spark in his career. The only thing that leads me to believe he might just be stupid is the fact that he took people's money. Apparently, he claimed that he already had $5 million in sales, which, or no, he said he already had 5 million in sales. So we're assuming if that number is accurate, I would assume that's not 5 million units. That's $5 million, which is still way more than I would have thought. But I definitely don't think it's 5 million units because that would have been like a third of the Switch sales or like 25%, right? But even then, I'm assuming that he's just over exaggerating. But I know a lot of people ordered it just to get the console in hand and like check it out. But apparently, like a lot of these people have yet to get their money back. But it was through PayPal, so it shouldn't be too difficult. But the fact that he was actually taking people's money makes me wonder if he actually thought he was going to get away with this.
It's a weird thing. So you're right. It's either he's incredibly stupid to do this, or he was brilliant to make this with this publicity stunt. But the something I'm really disappointed by is a lot of YouTubers for like for the sake of like continuing their show, and I'll even include JonTron. I mean, I love watching JonTron, but I mean, I thought it was really dumb that they all decided to buy those Soulja Boys. I don't think you needed to buy them to demonstrate how ridiculous they are. Or you could even actually, I take that back. I think he actually bought the one from Amazon, not from Soulja Boy's site. So I take that back on JonTron.
Yeah, well, I know that another YouTuber, Spawn Wave, I think it is. I like some of his YouTube videos because he'll like take apart the system and show you the inside and everything. But he showed a picture of what Soulja Boy was advertising, and then he showed a picture of what he bought on Amazon, and it was like the exact same box, like literally the exact same thing. The exact same company makes it. The only difference is one says Soulja Boy on it or whatever, right? So he bought the one off Amazon, and like he took that apart and everything, and we're pretty sure that's what it is, but it's only like $80. And I know a lot of YouTubers just went that route. They just got the one from Amazon. But I mean, if he planned on just like these people canceling their orders and getting their money back through PayPal, I know when you cancel an order on PayPal, if PayPal feels like it was a faulty purchase, they'll punish the person that sold them that, right? So they'll get fined like $20. So I don't know how many of these consoles.
I mean, who in their right mind thought that they were getting what he was advertising?
Well, the thing is, he was advertising it was going to be a 4K machine also, and like the one on Amazon that looks exactly the same, it is not a 4K machine. It runs at 720p. So it's not even 1080p. It's just it's just bad. But apparently he's done stuff like this in the past though. Like he has the Soulja Boy watch, which is only like $12, but it's supposed to have like GPS and like other high-tech features on it that are very doubtful. He's got like a Soulja Boy tablet and like like other stuff. So maybe this was just his next big thing, but I don't know. Maybe he just didn't expect to have this much controversy surrounding it.
His R&D team were hard at work. Look how many consoles he sold at once.
Yeah.
He's done more than Nintendo done in 15 years.
Yeah. It was funny though when I was watching Spawnwave, his channel, when he was taking apart the one he got off Amazon, and he was comparing the PS1 illegal ROMs that you get on the machine for $80. The PlayStation 1 games actually ran better. I mean, ran better than the PS1 Classic. Now, all the other ROMs, they ran terrible, but the PS1 Classic games actually ran better. So he's like, perhaps if you don't want to buy a PS1 Classic, you could get Soulja Boy's console.
That sad moment when Soulja Boy console runs PS1 games better than your own PS Classic device.
He was just like, I don't know why Sony just didn't hire this Chinese company to do it.
That could be a new slogan for Soulja Boy. It's like, hey, at least it ain't bad as the PlayStation Classic.
Yeah, it cost like twice as much, but yeah. But it comes with way more games and everything. But anyways, yeah, I just found it perplexing that he was actually trying to state that he had like contracts with like all these different like companies to like have these games on here, and it's like, okay, you have like every PlayStation 1 game, every Nintendo game. I highly doubt you got licensing for every Nintendo game ever made. Like
I'm sure these companies were like, if we can rely on anyone to make reliable tech products and represent our company, it would be Soulja Boy. I mean, we messed up with the Philips CDI, but I think we need to take a crack at exploring other consoles again.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, dude, my guy? Thanks for checking us out. Yeah, we're trying this live thing, so
hey, welcome.
But yeah, so I don't know. Apparently, his website is now closed down, and he's deleted a lot of his tweets. And if you go to the website where he sells the console, it just automatically redirects to the official website for the Nintendo 3DS, which is kind of hilarious. Because that's,
I mean, that's a thing that came and went for sure.
Yeah. So, but anyways, I'm interested to see if anything else comes of that, if we actually find out what happened. But it appears like Nintendo stepped in, especially given the fact that after he called them out, his tweets went down, and then his website basically is just redirects you to a Nintendo website now. So, but I'll be interested to see if we actually figure anything else out about that.
Come on, Nintendo, get all that Soulja Boy money and localize Mother 3.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, dude, he's a one-hit wonder. Whew. I mean, I bet he doesn't have that much money left, so Nintendo could have just wrecked his world. But maybe he got out. Maybe he got out as clean as he could. So moving on though, we have Kingdom Hearts 3. This is a bit of an old story, but we never talked about it, and it was actually became quite a large story. So Kingdom Hearts 3, basically in North Carolina, there was actually, you know what, here's this article right here. It's really well written. I think it's going to explain the whole thing a lot better than I can. So I'm just going to read that.
North Carolina, that's a state below me.
Yeah, I kind of cut off there, didn't I? So this website, I've Info Sir Hoy, I don't know. I'm not real familiar with the website, but I know I read through this article and everything here is correct, and it does a really good job of condensing all the sequence of events. So it's fairly short, and that's what I like about it. So I'm just going to read through this, and then we'll.
Before anything, just a disclaimer, people. Myself and Hat, at least, or I'm sure the same for Hat. We have no knowledge of any spoiler-related material from Kingdom Hearts. Anything that did get out on the internet, I never once viewed. So,
yeah,
you don't need to worry about us spoiling anything before we continue with this.
Yep, no spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you thought of that, because it definitely would be a concern. All right, so this article starts off and says, over the weekend, it was discovered that several copies of Kingdom Hearts 3 were leaked and sold online. Spoilers about the game are now spreading on various social media websites, and the leak also prompted the game's director to issue a statement. An individual allegedly sold Xbox One copies of Kingdom Hearts 3 and the Facebook Marketplace. To prove that the copy was real to potential buyers, the seller shared videos of the game loading up and showing the main menu, according to Polygon. The listing has been taken down, but several images and short videos of gameplay have already hit the web, including YouTube. Fans on Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit are warning others to be more cautious when going to social media websites where they might potentially encounter spoilers. The Kingdom Hearts subreddit has also banned any discussions related to the leak and warned fans that their posts will be removed if they share links that lead to spoilers. Users in the subreddit are also not allowed to ask for a copy of the leaked game and post screenshots or videos. Fans are also banned from posting comments and other submissions that in any way spoil the contents of the game. A user on Twitter claimed that he knew who the seller was, but declined to share the person's name. The same Twitter user who has already deleted the relevant tweets claimed that the person selling the leaked copies has a connection with the game's manufacturer and printing unit somewhere in North Carolina. The illegitimate seller is also said to have a history of this type of sales and is believed that he or she has 30 copies of Kingdom Hearts 3. Those who purchased a leaked copy of Kingdom Hearts 3 were asked to meet up in person with the seller. At least 10 transactions were made before the Facebook Marketplace listing was taken down on Saturday. It's scheduled to be released on the PS4 and Xbox One on January 29th in US and 25th in Japan. Blah, 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 blah. Kingdom Hearts 3 director Tetsuya Nomura also released a statement on various social media web pages saying that Square Enix is already aware of how this all happened. The director also said that they're investigating possible ways of correcting the situation, and he urged fans not to share any of the leaked videos. The most important information the director shared, however, is that the leaked copies won't include the game's biggest spoilers. The game's epilogue and secret movie, which are the biggest spoilers in the game, are planned to be released at a later date just in case, so they will not be shown before the game's release. The director said, "We want everyone to be able to equally experience the full game after its release, so we ask for your continued support on this matter."
You know, that last part you said about them hiding certain content behind the day one patch,
I don't like that.
it's brilliant and worrisome at the same time.
Yeah, I don't like they do that. So, because like the first thing I thought was, wait, if I spend $60 on this game, I'm not getting the whole game on one disc. Like I got to download all this crap when I stick it in my PS4. I don't like that, but I do like the fact that it is at least protecting, players from having the game spoiled. So I guess that is a positive side of it. But it does bother me you're not getting the full game on the single disc.
I mean, have any other game companies thought of this? I'm kind of surprised. I'd be surprised if Kingdom Hearts 3 is the first game to do this, because on paper it sounds brilliant. If people start getting leaked copies, it's like you can't access such and such until the day one patch comes. Yeah. Like you can't start single player campaign. It's grayed out on the menu until the day one patch comes in and adds in the mode to let you select these things. Like, that's kind of like brilliant in a way, but like at the same time, um it's bad in the long term. It's good in the short term. Let me put it like that. Because I remember back in the DS days, their pirated copies of Zelda Spirit Tracks got out before the game got released, and people are excited to get it. But as soon as you get full access to the train, um, they actually did something a little clever. They took away the button that lets you start the train. So you get about an hour into the game, and that thing is cut off because it detects it's a pirated copy. So it gets rid of the rope.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting if like they did something similar to Kingdom Hearts, where it's like you can't use your Keyblade until until the patch comes out. Which, like I said, it's a good short-term solution, but it worries me in the long term. Like, let's say 30 years from now, I want to play Kingdom Hearts 3, and all the PS4 related servers are shut down for a long time. Like, am I going to be blocked from this certain content, or do they have some plan for that?
Yeah, and I think Doom Guy just said, he said, I wonder if Square Enix would go as far as to lock the whole disc behind a small patch someday. And I don't know. I mean, I know certain games, they experimented, I believe, with having like codes that you had to have when you bought the game, right? And then that way that was going to counteract used game sales. And I know that was very unpopular with gamers. They didn't like that. And so video companies stopped doing that because there was kind of a backlash towards that.
Oh, yeah. Batman Arkham City was the most famous one for that.
Yeah, and that would be a similar type of concept. I mean, for a different reason, obviously, but that clearly the technology is there. It wouldn't be that difficult to do. But
well, the thing is, the difference is back then, yeah, they unlocked content that you would never get unless you bought it new or bought the patch for it. With this, it's more of a failsafe. So, like when Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out on January 25th, then it's unlocked. It doesn't matter if you have it new or used.
And that code will work for the next 100 years, even if you buy it used. Yeah, I get it. It is different for sure. And you know, I share your concerns that if they did go that route, you know, that would pretty much end the whole. I mean, I guess it wouldn't end it, but it would cause fear in me that I wouldn't be able to buy that game used later on. Like, I just like, how long is that going to be supported? How long is the server going to be up? Like where's like who's going to be maintaining the technology to activate my copy? I guess if it's pre-built into the game, I don't know. It just seems odd. What I did find really odd about this whole scenario, though, was well, two things. First, the guy had several copies. I think 30 copies of this, and he was only selling it for $100, which I think he got a lot more money than that, given how long people have been waiting for this game. But also, the how early the game came out. I mean, he had this. Apparently, he was selling this on November 29th, which is crazy. If the game was like, if they had discs in North Carolina that were complete on November 29th, like, I can't believe they wouldn't go for a Christmas release date unless they were still working on the day one patch.
I think the push back a month wasn't for the delay the game necessarily. I think it was more of a marketing stunt to they probably think it's better in January.
You don't think Christmas would be a better time?
Well, two things. People get Christmas cards and gift cards and stuff like that after Christmas, and Kingdom Hearts will sell. It doesn't matter. You can release that game in March, and it will still sell extremely well. It's I don't really get the motive to push it back a month because, like I said, I don't think it really matters. But I think if you put it in January, then I don't think it's that going to make that much of a difference.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's not. It may not sell fewer copies, But yeah, I'm with you. I don't really understand the reason why they did that. Um, but it definitely seemed odd that they would have that many copies out that early. So it must have been more of a patch issue than anything. Dude McGuy says perhaps only the first patch of shipped games would require the patch to start the game. That'd be a good way you could do that.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly that way, but maybe it'll be set up where when there's a certain PS4 update, then it will tell the disc that you're on this update. You don't even need to check for uh for any verification
Hmm.
or anything like that. Maybe I'm not a software programmer, so I'm just kind of pulling ideas out of my ass. But
Yeah.
um, I don't know. It's like I said, it's a brilliant idea in the short term, but it's such a scary thing in the long term. It's scary to think that years from now I won't be able to play some of my PS4 games simply because they put a day one patch that locks out content from me. Now, granted, Kingdom Hearts 3 in particular, they said it was like an epilogue movie, like
Hmm.
content like secret movie and the epilogue movie at the end. I guess that's not the biggest thing in the world, especially since YouTube exists. But
Yeah, it's just the state of the times. I mean, the video gaming has obviously changed, and it's probably never going to be like it was in the past. So it's definitely just a recognition of the fact that things have changed for sure.
mm-mm.
So, um,
I'm an old man that don't like to hear that.
well, we got a long ways to go. I think it's going to be drastically different by the time I kick the bucket. But you know, is what is.
Yeah, but like I said, if you're a Kingdom Hearts fan, just be careful where you go. Don't. I mean, you only got 1 month. If you can, just try to not frequent too much in places where those spoilers may be a thing.
Hmm.
Just be careful. I mean, I understand that like there's so many questions that are wanting to be answered that Kingdom Hearts 3 is likely going to answer, and it would be a real big bummer if someone just came out and just said everything, because I'm really curious myself. I want to know how the story ends up, even though I've bashed Kingdom Hearts story so many times. Like I said, it's a beautiful mess. It really is, of a story. I mean, I still want to know what happens. I like the characters enough that I want to see, you know, Sora save the day and Riku and Kairi and that all that crap. And it'd be very disappointing to me if someone came out and said that like Goofy has been Xehanort, the real Xehanort, the whole time. I'm like, oh come on! Like now I don't get to enjoy it as much.
Yeah. So we'll have to see. I'm anxious to play the game. I think it looks really really good, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it coming out.
Yeah, I mean it looks spectacular.
So let's go ahead and move on here. We got the PlayStation Classic. This gem of a piece of hardware. It came out on I think December 5th or December 1st, something like that, and it was retailed at basically $100. And immediately it got very very negative reviews. We talked about it. I'm sure anyone listening to this has seen some of those not so pleasant reviews regarding the system. Basically, it just a lot of the games didn't run very good. It didn't have very many options to really tweak the games, and the game selection was okay, but it was missing a lot of the most notable PlayStation 1 games. And apparently it hasn't been selling very well either. So Sony has, well, I guess you shouldn't say Sony, but Amazon, Best Buy, and GameStop are now selling the console for $60. So that is quite a price drop for this thing. And that's really telling given that, with the SNES and NES Classic, they probably could have actually sold that for more. So, I wonder if Sony actually recognizes what they did wrong here, or if they're just going to walk away from this thinking that people just are not interested in PS1 games.
I think they just going to drop the price, forget it happened, and move on. Because
Yeah, because I'm
I was at Best Buy the other day, and I walked by like a whole stack of them. Like I seriously think that not one has been sold there. Maybe
yeah,
one or two. I mean, if I had to guess, it's the main audience of these classics for the PlayStation Classics are people who are probably aware of the reviews of it, and like the people who like advertise it, and uh, it's probably just not going well for Sony. They
and
decided to
this
take the cheap route and put $100 price tag on it, and it's biting them in the ass badly.
and something that took them a week and a half to make. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking online right now, and it says, according to Media Create, which is this is from a website off thegamer.com. It said the PlayStation Classic sold 120,000 units during its first week in Japan. Um, and now, if you compare that to the SNES Classic in Japan, it sold 368,000 units in its first 4 days in Japan. So clearly, it's sold dramatically less than the SNES Classic. The NES Classic went on to sell exceeding 10 million units sold, which is crazy. That's like half as many units sold as the Switch, I think. So, yeah, I mean, it just goes to show that if you're going to create something like this, you have to put some effort into it. You can't just cheese it and try to make money on people because they're just going to know. I mean, maybe Sony's looking at this and thinking like, okay, we barely put any effort into this and we sold however many units, so we made a profit. That was worth it. But I hope not. I hope that's not their mindset with this type of stuff. You know, I think like if you're a company such as Sony, you pride yourself on making a quality product. I mean, they don't make anything else like that. You know, with the Sony brand name on it. I mean, they don't make TVs that are just utter crap. You know, it's PlayStation 4 is not crap. So I don't know why they felt the need to just try to make this like a money grabbing thing and not, you know, an actual cool experience that people would appreciate.
I don't know, man. Beats me. It's. I mean, they probably hired some really small team to do it, and they were like, I don't care how you do it, just get one out there, see what happens. And I mean, if as a product that perfectly shows like everything that can go wrong, like half the library no one cares about. It's running the inferior PAL versions. It's running off an emulator from a fan made emulator, not one from them.
Apparently, Soulja Boy's
Soulja
console.
Boy's device runs it better. The hardware they're using is inferior to the SNES Classics, and that was at $20 cheaper than the PS Classic. Now, granted, I think the price is not so much on the hardware, but more on
Licensing.
the licensing, yeah, of the
Sure.
software they have on there. I'm sure that's the bigger determining factor, but even then, it's like everything about this console just screams stay away from it. And I think people are getting got that ahead of time, at least in North America, and they're just staying far away from it. And Sony's probably already realizing that no one wants it and just dropping the price. And I bet you anything it'll drop more in price by a few months, maybe.
Yeah.
Like you'll see it for like $40 at places, very likely.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I'm trying to think of like what would be the magic number that I would be willing to buy this thing. And I think if I saw it for $25, I would consider buying it.
Yep. Let me tell you something.
What's
I
that?
wouldn't take it if someone gave it to me for free.
I would take it if somebody gave it to me for free. I would try it out for free. You wouldn't take it for free.
It would be a waste of space.
I don't know. I would try it for just, you know, just for the experience to see, you know, from firsthand how good or bad it is. But yeah, it's just sad. This was a muddied attempt, and I think it's obvious that if once these consoles sell out, they're not going to be making another one, I would assume, given the disastrous sales this thing has had. So, well, Sony, you done goofed it up, but
Oh yeah, I mean the sales will be terrible, and they're going to like scratch their heads and be like, "Huh, I wonder why it didn't sell so well." I guess we won't release that PS2 classic now.
I guess we won't put these PS1 games on the PS Store because people don't want them. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's not a good product. People don't buy it. It's not worth anything.
Yeah.
Matt may tell you it's worth $20. I'll tell you it's worth $0.
Yeah. Well,
there are much better ways to play your PlayStation 1 game. There are so many better ways.
Such as the Soulja Boy console.
Such as the Soulja Boy console. Yes, that is one of them you can do. You can also, honestly, you can buy, if you can find them, they're like $40. You may have to get like a memory card with it, but the value of getting a decent sized Sony Vita memory card and a PS TV was probably still less than what the PS Classic was. Mm-hmm. And you have all the digital PSN library from the Vita. That you go like Vita / PS3. Mm-hmm. And you can choose specifically which games you want. You don't have to have the 20 games that are on there. You can just get that, and if you just want Final Fantasy 7, 8, or 9, or Metal Gear Solid, or Vagrant Story, or many other fantastic JRPGs, they will be there.
Or what you could do, this is what I eventually did, right? Because I was really getting to this phase where I just wanted to play the games on the original consoles on my TV, and I was doing all sorts of different options, or different solutions, all these different upscalers and everything to try to get the game to look as good as possible. And eventually I just caved, and I have my gaming PC kind of in a good solution spot in the room to where I just have it hooked up to my TV if I want to play it on my TV. And then I bought an external hard drive, and I just plop my PlayStation 1 games into the external hard drive, and I just emulate it, and I play on the emulator with my PS4 controller, and it looks great. So
yeah. And David Guy, I agree with you. I think they could have just taken the PS TV and reskinned it and try to be more aggressive with the marketing.
Or if they just put all these games onto like the PlayStation Store and just like promoted that, I think they could have made a ton of money off that on the PS4. I mean, they were doing that on the PS3, you know?
Yeah.
So clearly a lot better options they could have done all over the place.
Yeah, and I think they would have made more money in the long run too. I mean, I get it. You're trying to emulate what Nintendo's success with the NES and SNES Classic, but I mean, this is just a much better solution. It would have been, but I mean, I get why.
Yeah.
It just didn't work well,
unfortunately. Moving on, we have Lost Odyssey. So the trademark has been renewed, and they've renewed all the way down to the font of the game and some other imagery in the game, including just the name of the game. So it makes a lot of people wonder if we're going to see a remaster on the Xbox One, or are they going to make another game in this soon-to-be series? And what's gotten a lot of people kind of speculating is that a recent quote from Harunobu Sakaguchi said that he is currently working on a new project that he doesn't want to talk about currently, now that Terra Battle 2 is done. Now, I'm not really going to read into that because that could be a billion things. I mean, he could be working on some collab project with Square Enix. He could be really working on another crappy cell phone game. He could be working on a Terra Battle calendar, for all we know, right? We shouldn't just read into the fact that, you know, these are coincidences, but it does support the idea that a Lost Odyssey game of some sort, whether that's an HD remaster or another game in that universe coming out. And I think that would be really, really cool That's definitely one of those games that I find absolutely baffling that it has not been brought back, given it's kind of almost got to like a cult status.
Yeah, it's more like an under the radar type of thing at this point. The trademark, I think it's going to, I don't think for one thing, I'm pretty sure if they do anything with it, I have a good feeling that's going to get ported to PC. I think, especially since Microsoft Windows, and
Hmm.
they own the property, I don't think it would be much of a challenge, especially with
That's
Miss Walker help to port the game to the PC.
and that's one thing I've kind of wondered for a long time now is just like I feel like that would be a very easy buy. Just put it on Steam and just call it a day.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is a game that really needs to spread out to more people too. The worst thing, honestly, the worst thing about Lost Odyssey is that it was on Xbox 360, and that's not necessarily a rip on the console itself. The Xbox 360 was a great console. It just wasn't a great JRPG console. There was a time where Microsoft was being really aggressive in trying to buy exclusivity with games that companies are making, like Blue Dragon, Lost Odyssey, Magna Carta 2, Tales of Vesperia. These were, or at least at a time, exclusive to 360, and they actually sold poorly, I think, except Tales of Vesperia. I think people in Japan actually bought a console just for that game before it came out on PS3. So not many people played Lost Odyssey, and it's actually a really good game. I mean, if you slapped Final Fantasy uh, on the box and incorporated some Final Fantasy elements to the game, you could mistake it for it.
Sure. I mean clearly it's, it has the creator of Final Fantasy involved with the game, so it's going to have some noticeable elements.
Yeah, and it has fun characters, engaging story, interesting world. On top of that, I know there's mixed reception on the very long dialogues of reading. There's weird segments in the game.
The dream sequences or whatever.
Yes, the dream sequences. Thank you. It
I've
it
seen some people that like just adore those sections. Like they even sell a lot of those writings online, and people buy them, and like they enjoy reading them, like without even playing the game. And then I've seen other people feel like it was just brutal to
yeah,
read.
I personally enjoyed reading them, but I remember there was like a lot of people that were like, I don't want to read all this. I just want to continue with the story. But man, I love the ones like when Kaim and another person were in a very dark prison for years and they couldn't see like the front of their hand for like years and years, and when they finally escape and like go out of the prison, it's like the other guy that was with them died from the bright, like the sun just like so bright in his eyes that it like freaked him out and he died from it.
Yeah.
I mean, the stories like that were just like really good. They were really long though, but the good thing was that they weren't critical to the story itself. So if you really didn't want to read them, you
Hmm.
could skip them. Um, I don't recommend people skipping them because I think a lot of them are very engaging stories to read, and the coolest thing about it is it really gives you the feeling like what's it truly like to be immortal. It's like so many things just happen in your life, and it makes you think to yourself, do I really want to would I really want immortality if I have to go through or if I inevitably go through things like this in my life?
Hmm. And it's just been so long that there's no way you can possibly remember all that, as clearly as, uh, your memories that you have now. So it
Yeah,
it really dives into a lot of those elements. I think that's a really unique concept to
yeah.
explore.
So if I don't think they'll do a full remaster of the game, but I do think they'll at least they'll put extra support in. Like maybe they'll do an option for 4K resolution on Xbox One X and Steam, similar
Well,
to
I
how the last Remnant remastered came out.
I believe you can already get Lost Odyssey currently. Like you can get a digital version of the game on Xbox One X, and they use their upscaling technology to upscale it on the console. It's not obviously it's not going to be as good as if they went and had people do it by hand or whatever. But they do have that option already. So I'm kind of with you. I have a hard time believing that they would have this would just be an HD remaster version on the Xbox One X. I think you were kind of spot on, probably more of a Steam release. I mean, there's still part of me that thinks like maybe they'll release another game in that series. I don't know. It's hard to say because I know that one of Xbox's or Microsoft's biggest problems right now is the lack of exclusive games. Like most of their games that they release or that are on the Xbox are games that you can already buy on the PS4. Besides, some of their bigger titles like the Halo franchise. But I mean, they don't have enough of those games to really make me want to get the console. So maybe they're trying to look back in their console, their library, and say like, okay, well, you can't get Lost Odyssey anywhere else. Let's expand on this franchise and try to make our selection of games a little more unique. I mean, maybe that's what they're trying to do here.
Yeah, that's certainly possible. Now, to also note, before I say that, I kind of have doubts that a sequel will be made just because of stuff I hear from Mistwalker and their track record of games recently. I just have a feeling that they don't have any major budget game in the works. I think they're still doing relatively low budget. And also, which leads me into saying that they also trademarked The Last Story recently, which was a Wii game. And unfortunately, the leaks of Last Story 2 were fake. So,
Yeah.
But the possibility of an HD remaster of that is still possible for the Switch.
Yeah.
So we have two recent titles recently trademarked again. But another theory I have with The Last Story is in Smash Bros. Ultimate, they actually have two of the main characters from The Last Story as spirits in the game. So I wonder if that's why they renewed the license so they could put them back on there as spirits. But since they have the license, that is open to the possibility to a port / remaster of it, which I hope so. But
well, yeah, I mean, given some of the games I've seen greenlighted for a remaster, I have a hard time believing they wouldn't remaster The Last Story because some of the games are very obscure. But I don't know, man. I'm not saying that they would make a sequel to the Lost Odyssey, especially given the fact, like you said, that Mistwalker really isn't doing that type of game anymore. But I mean, look, I mean, the Sakaguchi's involvement with Lost Odyssey was primarily like from what I read was not really Mistwalker's resources. I mean, like some of his people helped manage the team, but it was primarily Microsoft's resources from what I read. So
yeah, how Mistwalker works particularly is they're the idea people. Like they come up with the concept, the story, the like the artwork and the design of the characters and everything, and then they hand it off to another company to actually animate and develop it.
Yeah, they don't have near the resources to make a game like that themselves. So
yeah, I don't believe they. I mean, of course, someone please correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe they do much in-house development. I think they set everything up to make a game, and then they hand it off to a respective company like Nintendo or Microsoft to create the game.
Yeah, so I mean, if Microsoft is trying to capitalize on some of their, some of the more classic titles that are unique to their own library, then I think that would be a good game to choose. I mean, they don't have to make a sequel. They could just maybe an earlier part of the lore or, a different character entirely. I mean, or I don't, why not a sequel, I guess. But, that's definitely an option for them. And they definitely have the money to fund something like that if they were interested. So I mean, it's probably just a HD remaster, if anything, like you said, though.
Yeah,
For Steam.
my personal opinion is Mistwalker should re-release their games like Lost Odyssey and Last Story on two consoles like PC, Xbox, Switch, and see what series they have that stick with people. Like, if people really enjoy the last story, maybe it's a good time to make a sequel for it. If Lost Odyssey was successful, maybe it's time to make the next. Uh, Try to approach like Microsoft or Sony with the next big AAA game that they can come up with. But just from what I'm hearing, it's just like that they're back to a very small scale again, especially like since they've been doing just mobile with Terra Battle 2, Party
Yeah.
Wave.
Yeah, I think that it seems like they're more or less interested in these smaller scale, less risky projects, and you know, that's fine. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much. I don't know. I mean, let's say Microsoft wanted to do another Lost Odyssey game. I don't do they own it outright? Could they do it without Sakaguchi? I'm not saying that would be a good idea, but
They hold the license, so they could. They could give it to another company to do. I don't know if they have like a co-agreement where only like Mistwalker can
yeah.
work on particular parts of it, but ultimately Microsoft owns the property name.
So they could just greenlight that without Sakaguchi involved at all. I mean, personally, I feel like if he's not involved with it, why even bother? But you know, so
Yeah, I think just the way Lost Odyssey ended, I think they'll probably just make a spiritual successor to it.
yeah, exactly. I would look at it more like the sequel to Xenoblade Chronicles. I mean, it's not really a sequel; it's in the same spirit, right? The same type
Yeah.
of world or whatever. So the same type of lore, but not the same characters or anything like that. So that's what I would do.
Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, I hope the best for them. I want to see Sakaguchi be successful. I
Again.
want a franchise. I want
Yeah.
a franchise that just like that's truly his next Final Fantasy. And Lost Odyssey and Last Story were potentials for these. It's just he just never pursued anything further with the products. The only time we've seen them do sequels is Blue Dragon and Terra Battle.
Well, and that's the other part of it too, is that one of Sakaguchi's famous uh, direction or style of management is he just does not like to do sequels. I mean, he didn't want to do it with any of the Final Fantasy series. He just didn't like the idea of sequels. So I could see him being against the idea of doing a Lost Odyssey, another Lost Odyssey game. Personally, now I'm thinking about it.
Or he can do the Final Fantasy approach again and just like have the name sell and just be a different world and story. Like Last
Yeah,
Story
exactly.
2 can just be like the same type of art style, but it can be like maybe an improved combat system, different world, different characters. They can do something new and refreshing again, and then like the name itself will help sell the product,
Yeah,
like Final Fantasy.
And they could have Lost Odyssey too. Yeah, you know, I think it could work out. So, you know, it's definitely not a bad thing that this stuff is getting renewed or looked at again. Doesn't necessarily mean that we're actually going to see something, but I do think it does mean something. The fact that they're eyeing it again. So let's keep our hope up that it's actually something, you know, that we'll actually see.
But in short, my overall prediction of the Lost Odyssey, I think we're going to see a PC port,
which would make me very, very happy.
I think I'll actually put money that we will eventually see Lost Odyssey hit the PC.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that would be a good bet. I mean, given Microsoft pretty much owns it, I don't see any reason not to do that. So, yeah. I agree. But yeah, I think that wraps us up for this week. It is a little shorter than we expected, but I think we had some comments last time on our Dragon Quest um, discussion video, but I don't really want to address those here because they're pretty spoiler heavy. So maybe we'll just go in there and kind of comment on those comments, and that way we can kind of communicate that way, because I don't want to ruin the end of Dragon Quest 11 anybody that's listening right now if they haven't played that game yet. So
that game is too good to spoil. Yeah, here's a spoiler for you all. Go buy it.
Yep. Did you ever hear anything about the what the special edition is going to be for the Switch? There was all this talk about how Yuji Horii said there was going to be some new addition to the game for the Switch version, and it's supposed to be announced like sometime this week, but I haven't seen anything.
If it is, I haven't heard of it. It's the only thing I've heard is that the Japanese version is slated for 2019, but they didn't specify when this year, but it's coming this year for the Switch.
Yeah, I did see that the Switch version's coming in Japan, so that'll be cool.
I mean, looking at the screenshots, it looks just like the PS4 version. It may have some new content, like maybe some Nintendo exclusive content, like, because I know Nintendo is pretty famous for like coming to these ports of these games and be like, we want you to put something in there that's you can only get on Nintendo,
which is a good move, I think, on a good move on Nintendo's part, because otherwise that way you get away from this idea that, oh, like you just have a bunch of games I could play on the PS4. The PS4 is going to play the game better than the Nintendo Switch would. Why would I get it on the Nintendo Switch? Well, if you get it on the Switch, it's got some unique content that you can't get elsewhere. So I think that was really smart of them.
Yeah, maybe it'll be something like you can put Link's garb and Master Sword and Shield on the hero. Maybe something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be cool, but it would be Nintendo exclusive.
If it's something like that, I don't know if I would spend another $60 on day one just to get the game, and then spend another 100 and something hours going through the game. But it's going to irk me a little bit if it's some like new story content or something and it's at the very end of the game, because then I'll feel obligated to like replay the entire game again. And I'm not quite sure if I'm ready for that yet. So
if it offers something the PS4 version doesn't, I'll get it day one. But if not, I'll probably grab it when it's a lot cheaper on the Switch.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's what you got to look at it as. But all right. Well, I don't have anything else. Do you?
No, that's it.
All right. So that's going to wrap up this week's episode. Let us know if you like the idea of us streaming this, our podcast episodes. Obviously, we didn't really tell anyone that we were going to be doing that this week. We kind of just wanted to test this out, see how this would run, see if we could actually do it. But, maybe in the future we could kind of give you guys a little bit of heads up when we might think we might want to stream an episode. And that way you guys can join us and comment and, let Eric know that he's been saying stupid stuff,
Yeah, I tend to do that. And we usually, we'll probably do it a lot earlier than we have. I had a lot of stuff going on tonight, so we couldn't really do it till now. But usually it'll be much earlier in the evening. If we do live streaming. Yeah,
usually it probably won't be 10, 11, or 12 o'clock on a Wednesday, but but anyways, thanks for checking us out, Dude McGuy. Appreciate you popping in here and giving your comments, and we'll check you all back I want to say next week, but probably more like 4 or 5 days. So we'll see you all then.
All right, take care, everyone.
Peace.